Video, I'm going to show you how to apply the fourth and final index law correctly. Okay, so the rule for the fourth index law is when raising a power by another power, okay, the indices are multiplied. Okay, so what that looks like is a formula that looks like this. Okay, so if you have a to the power of m and that whole thing is to the power of n, then that can be simplified down to a to the power of n times n. Okay, instead of plus or minus like before, if the whole thing is the power of another index, then they're multiplied together. Okay, now there's a few things we need to follow when doing this. All right, so every number or variable inside the brackets should have its index multiplied by the power outside. So that means every single thing inside the brackets is multiplied by every single thing outside the brackets. Okay, so in this situation here, it's just the one a to the n to the power of n, which will be a to the power of n times n. Okay, but there are other situations where there's multiple things in this bracket. Everything in here will be multiplied by everything out here. Okay, now if you're doing a question and you stumble upon any number or variable that does not have an index to it, it can be written as whatever that was to the power of 1. So if you just see a normal number, it can be 2, 5, 11, anything, that can be written as that number to the power of 1. And any variable, any letter, can be written as that letter to the power of 1. Okay, so let's do a couple examples just to show you what this means. All right, so example 1. All right, example 1, we can do 7 to the power of 4 brackets and all of outside of that to the power of 8. Okay, so we can apply this rule right here, the fourth index law, and we know that will be 7 to the power of 4, so that's everything inside here times everything outside here times 8. Okay, and 4 times 8 equals 32. All right, we'll do the second example now. All right, if we have 3 to the power of 2 over 5 to the power of 3, all right, that whole equation is to the power of 3, all right, that we know that every single thing inside is multiplied by everything outside. Okay, so that can be written as 3 to the power of 2 times 3 all over 5 to the power of 3 times 3. Okay, so everything inside, so this one here, we times by 3, and this one here, we times by 3. Okay, so that would be 3 to the power of 6 over 5 to the power of 9. All right, and these guys here aren't the same base, so there's nothing more we can do with that. That is the simplest form we can leave it in. All right, so example 3. For example 3, we'll do something a little bit different on top of that. All right, we can do 2 as a coefficient, a to the power of 5, all over d to the power of 2. All right, and we'll make that whole thing to the power of 3. All right, and we know in our fourth index law, everything inside, all right, when raised by power, will be times by the power outside. Okay, so everything. We know if we have a coefficient here, that means the coefficient times by the variable. Okay, so there's a little times that split that. So every single thing in here times by everything out here. Okay, so that can be written as 2, and we know that if it has a normal number there without an index, it has an index of 1. So 2 to the index of 1 times 3 all right, times by a to the index of 5 times 3, all over d to the index of 2 times 3. All right, so what we've done here, guys, is we've taken every single thing inside this, all right, and we've times the indices by the indices outside the brackets. All right, now we can put that down further, so that would be 2 to the power of 3 times a to the power of 15 all over d to the power of 6. Okay. Now there's one more step we can do here to simplify this down a bit more. Only thing we can possibly do is work out our coefficient here, because nothing else can be properly solved down. So we'll just finish off by working off our coefficient. So 2 to the power of 3 we know is 8, so it'd be 8 times a to the power of 15 over d to the power of 6. All right. Now, we'll do one last fourth and final example for this. Camera a little bit. Example 4. This will be a little bit harder. Okay, so for example 4, we will do 2b to the power of 5 all to the power of 2 times 5b to the power of 8 all to the power of 3. Okay, this one will be a little bit more difficult. Now what we need to do here, guys, is we know that everything inside the brackets, all right, their indices need to be multiplied by everything outside the brackets. Everything here multiplied by this, and everything here multiplied by this. All right, so now that can be broken down to 2, which we know anything by itself will be to the power of 1. So 2 to the power of 1 times by 2 times b to the power of 5 times 2. All right, so what we've done here, we've taken this number here and this variable here, and we've times them by what's outside, which is 2. Now we need to do exactly the same thing with this side. Okay, so 5, which we know can be written as 5 to the power of 1, times 3, and b to the power of 8 times 3. All right, exactly the same thing. Everything inside this is indices multiplied by the indices outside. Okay. Now we can go through and simplify this down a little bit. So we know that 2 to the power of 1 times 2 is 2. So 2 to the power of 2 times by b to the power of 10. All right, and that is 5 to the power of 3 times b to the power of 20. All right, which can be written as 2b 10 times 5. Okay, so all we've done is we've taken everything in here, multiplied the indices by everything outside, and that's taken us from here down to here. Okay, now what we need to do looking at this is we know right now what we can do is we can apply our first index Because what we have is some coefficients, and two b's here will be similar bases. So we can apply our first index law. What we need to do first is work out the value of our coefficients here so we can multiply them together. Okay, so that coefficient here, 2 to the power of 2, we know is 4. So it would be 4b to the power of 10 times 5 to the power of 3. 5 times 5 times 5, which is 125b to the power of 24. Now we can apply the first law. All right. So we have our coefficients that we need to multiply together first. All right, because remember our first law, we multiply our coefficients. So it'll be 4 times 125, and then we can multiply our same base variables together here, which will be b to the power of 10 times b to the power of 24. All right, and 4 lots of 125 is 500. Work that out together, apply our first law, okay? So that would be times by b, 10 plus 24, because remember our first law, if we times the same bases, we add the indices to the 34, which can be simplified down to 500 b 34.